Over the years, the internet has been the springboard for numerous, much deliberated mysteries, many of which the channel has already looked at. Some, such as Cicada 3301, are a mental challenge. Others are more vague in purpose, albeit menacing, such as 11BX1371. Some, like the theories regarding mukbang YouTuber Kate Yup, are just plain disturbing. Well, here we will be exploring 5 more eerie and unexplained internet mysteries that we are sure many will baffle you. Now, before we begin, we just wanted to say that if you miss our long format documentaries and Murderous Minds series, head over to Patreon, where for just $2 a month you can catch up on all of our latest and exclusive documentaries. We have hours of content over there waiting for you. But remember, as has always been the case from the start, if you genuinely cannot afford $2 a month, we offer all of our Patreon exclusive content for free, no questions asked. We understand times are tough, and not everyone can afford it. So if you genuinely cannot, just drop us an email at patreon@top5s.co.uk to see all of our content for free. Now, let's begin. Children's Immortality Project. Many of the sites associated with this bizarre occurrence, along with the images and comments posted on the 4chan spooky/paranormal board, are no longer available. However, the intrigue behind this strange concept and the man accountable for it lingers to this day. Over a decade ago, a thread on 4chan's X board appeared regarding a deluge of strange websites discovered by message board users that espoused the notion that children are created by their parents merely to be killed, and instead they should be enabled to harness never-ending life through a doctrine of international physical immortality. Within the huge number of sites discovered referring to children's immortality, other keywords such as taking over the internet and Google is my resume are seen repeatedly, as well as a name, Robert Ray Hedges. As the self-proclaimed most conscious person to ever live, it seems Hedges is the individual responsible for the outlandish belief that children are being denied immortality by their elders, and created an abundant number of links posting his theories. The style of writing and the appearance of the sites are as odd and disorientated as the ideas Hedges put forward. Many of the websites have been deleted, but some of the archived comments from 4chan members give insight into what they experienced after encountering Hedges' sites. One user explained that after providing a confirmational email address, they received bizarre and unexplainable emails, and that these scared them enough to prevent further investigation. Another user claims that it was really a deprived cult behind the site, and clicking on certain links would enable you to obtain membership. Though no evidence for such claims are offered, the posters do seem genuinely spooked out by Hedges' sites, which have been collectively dubbed the Children's Immortality Project, and they warn other curious posters to stay clear of them. The real purpose behind Hedges' content, and what has become of him now, is somewhat of a mystery, though the extent of the sites and the peculiar nature of them still prompts speculation. Yvette's Bridal Formal. Often described as a website from hell, Yvette's Bridal Formal gained wider public attention due to the discussion on Reddit threads and featuring in online articles as well as several YouTube videos. For the uninitiated, this site has become famed for its chaotic appearance, bewildering arrays of links, and for having relatively little useful information pertaining to buying or hiring Yvette's bridal and formal attire. The disorientated effect of the site is further enhanced by the music that plays on a selection of links. Yvette's website is no longer active, but as it has been archived on the Wayback Machine, it is still possible to observe the original format in all its colourful, frenzied glory. As you can see from the homepage, this site has an exceptional number of images and vivid hyperlinks. Though some do lead to business-related photos, they are not standard website format by any means, as can be observed on this page. The same photo of the business premises forms the background, with the addition of a selection of further shots, some of which bear little to no relevance to the shop. such as pictures of traffic, sunsets, and a bird on a fence. Others are presumably of the shop owner or manager, but they have a disquieting surveillance footage feel about them. They are taken at a distance and show a woman and her child as they arrive and depart the site, to the extent they are even shown getting into their vehicle. At the end of this page, images of a long-haired man can be found, and if you explore the site enough, you will discover that he also appears in further links and identifies himself as Sean Terrence Best, the individual responsible for designing the site. It is his artistic undertakings that feature so prominently on the site, as do his poems and musings on subjects such as travel, as well as an alleged encounter with writers from a UFO magazine. In this account, Sean also relates that there is a hidden code within the receipts he has posted on the vet's site, but it isn't one he can decipher himself. A further example of the surreal and obscene content incorporated into this website. We could spend much longer discussing the unique appearance of Yvette's, which appears to have much more to do with the eccentricities of Sean than the business it purportedly represents. The site has prompted many questions over why it was designed in such a manner, with particular attention paid to the repetition of V8, which Sean has also written about elsewhere. It is this conspiracy theory that the code embedded in Yvette's website alludes to. We'd love to hear from you if you have deciphered anything from this truly surreal site in the comments below. What happened to user Flip-and-Flop? For those of you familiar with Reddit, you'll know it appears to have a community for everything, so it's no surprise that one of the subreddits is R-Drugs, where Redditors discuss the effects of illegal substances they have either taken or are thinking of trying. The sub's About describes it as a risk reduction resource that promotes harm reduction and fights against the drug stigma. It's basically a community that looks out for each other whilst experimenting with drugs. While on April 17, 2017, a post appeared from user Flip-and-Flop that read, "Finally got my hands on some Datura, how much should I take?" Many of the commenters were concerned and advised the poster that the only safe dose was none at all, whilst others shared their experiences and many warned against it. To give you a bit of background on Datura, it is definitely not something you want to mess with. Datura is a poisonous flowering plant known amongst other names as moonflower, Jimson weedweed, and halsbells. The seeds and flowers of the plant are especially deadly, and if ingested, can cause respiratory depression, fever, delirium, hallucinations, psychosis, and death. For centuries, Datura has been utilised in some cultures as a poison, and in some parts of Europe and India, it has even been used for suicide and murder. Modern users of the drug either ingest or smoke it for its hallucinogenic effects, and many tragic accidents have occurred as a result of young adults dying or becoming seriously ill from intentionally ingesting Datura. The onset of symptoms generally occurs around 30 to 60 minutes after eating or smoking the herb. These symptoms generally last from 24 to 48 hours, but have been reported in some cases to last up to 2 weeks or longer. The overwhelming majority of those who describe their use of Datura find their experiences extremely unpleasant, both mentally and physically, and those most seriously affected are often hospitalized and either have their stomachs pumped or are given drugs to reverse the effects, although sadly some do not make it. With all this in mind, when Flip-and-Flop later added to his post by saying this, "I've crushed some seeds, around 15 to 16 in my mortar, and put them in a glass of hot water. I've added some lemon juice and sugar to mask the taste. I'll just have to roll my joint with the Datura leaves and I'll be set to go. I've decided that I'll be sipping on the tea and slowly smoking the leaves until I feel that the effect is strong enough." This caused immense concern amongst the community, with some sharing their horrific stories of taking the drug whilst others wished him luck. But when nothing was heard from the user over the next few hours, commenters started to get concerned. Then at 5:55 AM the next morning, Flip-and-Flop posted this. The comment caused even more concern, with many speculating things were not going well. Nothing was heard from for a further 12 hours, until Flip-and-Flop randomly dropped into the R Gaming sub and commented on the post, mammoths fighting in totally accurate battle that showed a GIF featuring mammoths fighting. This comment caused more concern. That was the last anyone heard of Flip and Flop, causing the community to fear that they were dead. Despite pleas from users to get in touch and reassure them everything was okay, nothing has been heard of them since. Flip and Flop's disappearance has generated numerous searches for them on other forums without success, and the mystery of what happened to them rumbles on. Some have theorized that the post was created to cause drama and speculation, and the fact we are featuring the incident over 3 years later means they have achieved that. However, the Reddit community have been left worried, and if you search Reddit, there are still occasional posts from people asking what happened to Flip and Flop, with many fearing the worst. To date, we still do not know whether the whole thing was for effect or was actually real. What do you think? Padma G. McCord. Now there is a chance that you may have encountered this name before, as YouTubers Nexpo, Some Ordinary Gamers, and the channel VVVIOS have produced thought-provoking videos on this most peculiar mystery that are well worth a watch. Padma McCord has been the subject of much internet discussion due to the extraordinary number of search results attributed to her and the surreal nature of these entries. Many are promoting her as the president of Padma McCord Enterprise LLC, a Texas-based company which claims to deal in real estate and business investments. However, none of the sites or videos to do with her look right. For instance, she has a YouTube channel with 100 videos promoting her business, but they reveal absolutely nothing useful. Just take a look at some of these. As we can see at the end of the video, this content proclaims to be for SEO purposes only. By creating websites such as this, with a formal, professional sounding address, one would assume the site would be full of helpful information, such as contact details, a biography, and a portfolio of her work. But considering many of her domains turn out to be banal, useless pages full of stock images and keywords, it has to be asked, why is she so concerned with promoting search results for her name? In what may be a coincidence, there does appear to be a family-owned real estate business in Houston called McCord, but there is no indication that Padma has any role here. Padma also has a saved playlist on her YouTube channel, which predominantly seems concerned with cyberbullying, harassment, and the regulation of social media. Combined with the fact that various videos about this mystery have been taken down, would suggest that Padma finds speculation about her posts by other YouTubers, sites and forums to perhaps fall into the category of harassment. Various posts online would indicate that Padma has employed a company named Digital Forensic Corp to convince some of these sites to remove the content that they've made about her. Indeed, it is this company that VVVIOS discusses in his video, where he converses with one of the firm's employees about Padma. No doubt some individuals have made distasteful comments about her online, possibly further fueled by another strange predilection she has, posting heavily edited and low-quality photoshopped images of herself, with a particular focus on changing her eye shape and colour. In some cases, she superimposes her face onto a photo of a model in an advert. These images are plentiful, and many appear to include what we're led to believe is her husband and son, neither of whom seem to have any social media presence. To be honest, it's very easy to fall down the rabbit hole by looking into all the threads, domains and photos associated with Padma McCord, not to mention the theory surrounding why this lady has chosen to make so much effort into promoting herself in such a very ineffectual and unusual manner. What do you think could be the reason for the approach she has taken? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. The Indian Lake Project. This is a curious mystery that appeared between 2005 and 2013 on a blogspot, and to this day remains a topic of much conjecture. Part of this enigma-enduring appeal is due to the imitation of a CIA mind control project involving children. one which led to the most infamous Central Intelligence Agency's ventures, Project MKUltra. The individual writing the blog, who identifies himself as only John, details how his uncle discovered a metal box in 1997 whilst walking around Indian Lake in Hamilton County, New York. After John's uncle passed away in 2002, he came into possession of the box, which contained photographs, reels of 8mm film, and a variety of documents. The copious black and white photographs depicted military personnel, some of the buildings and facilities that he believed existed at Indian Lake in the 1950s, and some of children. Some of the photographs of children appear to show them as test subjects, identified by first-only names and numbers. Troublingly, a few of the youngsters appear to be held in cages or cells, as they stare from behind bars. John supplements the found photos with some of his own after he visits Indian Lake and discovers abandoned buildings and an underground complex hidden deep in the woods, complete with odd bed frames that certainly look like they have been there for a long time. The contents of the box leads John to believe that Indian Lake was home to a highly classified base where mind control experiments were conducted on children under the banner of Project Artichoke. The sinister intentions of this CIA operation can be observed in a memo from 1952 regarding Project Artichoke, which inquired, "Can we get control of an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will and even against fundamental laws of nature, such as self-preservation?" The operation saw subjects interrogated, hypnotized, and drugged in order to discover if they could be compelled to act as an assassin. Though no mention of minors in experiments has been mentioned officially in connection with Project Artichoke, which directly precedes the notorious Project MKUltra. But then would any government willingly acknowledge experimenting on young, vulnerable individuals in such a monstrous manner? It's worth noting that pupils at Willowbrook State School in New York, a large facility for children with an array of disabilities, were injected with hepatitis in order to observe the nature of the virus. This was rightfully described as the most unethical medical experiments ever performed on children in the United States. But it begs the question, what other equally disgraceful experiments have secretly been conducted on children? John's investigation takes some interesting turns. He is contacted by a woman he calls Mary, who confirms that her father worked at Indian Lake on the project, providing information corroborated by the documents in John's possession. But after a while, he begins to distrust her declarations of wishing to aid him in his quest to discover the truth, after Mary requests for him to send her the original photos of the children he has. John holds contact with Mary and refuses to publish any of the documents he has. He also writes that his house has been broken into, but nothing has been taken, and he starts to receive menacingly silent phone calls multiple times per day. The last blog entry is on February 25th, 2013, and despite providing a Twitter link, on which he posts the next day, promising new information to follow, he never posts again, leaving us all to wonder if there were ominous consequences to his revelations about Indian Lake. Or was this just a detailed hoax or art project? What do you think? So that's it for this week's video. We hope you enjoyed these 5 creepy, unexplained internet mysteries. The internet is full of these, and if you want us to dive into these more, then let us know below. We hope you've enjoyed, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.